Hello, everyone. Welcome into this SEC Morning Report. I am Blayne Gilmer, and this is Southeastern 14, your home for daily SEC coverage. We're all into football right now. Of course, basketball is right around the corner. We'll have you covered for baseball as well when that gets started. So I hope you guys will tune in each and every day and see what's going here on Southeastern 14. And if you think your business, guys, would like to target an audience that is crazed for SEC sports, a demographic of young men, older men, people that are excited to watch SEC sports, then hit up Caroline.Smith at Southeastern 14, and she can tell you how to be an MVP with us here, and we'll promote your businesses, products, and services here on Southeastern 14 if it's a good fit for everyone. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Guys, I have to tell you, I made a little bit of a error yesterday. So I'm going through Reaction Monday, and I try to go alphabetical order and go in all the teams and what we learned each week and stuff like that. And guys, I skipped over LSU. That's my bad. My bad. Like Longfellow Deeds said, Adam Sandler and Longfellow Deeds. My bad. Okay. So, when it comes down to it, we got to dive into LSU today. And a little special treat for you Tiger fans today. I went in and looked at just how good this LSU offense has been this year. And we are going to dive into that. Really, really explosive numbers when you go into looking at rankings and things like that and comparing it to offenses of the past. So, that's something we're going to look at today. We're going to continue to look at that Alabama and Tennessee matchup as well for this week. Some numbers that could be telling, as we go through the week. So we'll get into that as well, and then touch a little bit more on Georgia without Brock Bowers, because that's a big topic this week. So buckle up. We're going to get into all that. And let's start off with LSU. Like I said, skipped over LSU yesterday, just total mental block, a little error there. But hey, one thing that hasn't had too many errors is that LSU offense. Right now, they are the most explosive offense in the country. They lead the entire country with plays of 20-plus yards or more with 59, and plays of 30-plus yards at 29, okay? So when it comes down to it, guys, this is a rate of plays that has not been seen in a while. All right. Last year, Georgia led the country in plays of 20-plus yards, 98 of them in 15 games. 98 in 15 games for the Georgia Bulldogs last year. LSU, through 7 games, already has 59. Okay. So they are being very, very explosive right now, and they are on pace, guys. They are on pace to break 100 in just 12 games. How significant is that? Well, the last team to break 100 plays of 20-plus yards in a season, LSU. Yes, that LSU team led by Joe Burrow and company in 2019. They had 113 in 15 games. So LSU is on pace to break that even, especially should they make it to the SEC championship game, and then a bowl game on top of that, things like that. Guys, and Lord forbid if they were to make it to the CFP, then really could add in the numbers. Now, in order to do that, I think they would have to win out and win the SEC championship. I think that is something that's still on the table for this LSU team if they can get things figured out defensively, because they are that good. One reason they're that good, guys, is because you can't get them off the field. I mean, if you're a defense, you have to hope, okay, try to stop them early on first down, maybe get a negative yardage play. Maybe they're playing behind the chains. But even then, it seems like Jayden Daniels, with all of that just cavalcade of weaponry he has out there around him, that talent outside, he's able to just, drop back and calmly rip one for 15, 16 yards down the field to whether it's Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Kyron Lacey, even Mason Taylor. I mean, they've got so many weapons over there that they can hit. down the field. And even on third and long, it just seems like they convert. And right now, their third down conversion rate, 57.5%. That's second in the country to Air Force, who is just unconscious right now on third down. 59.42% are the Air Force Falcons over there. So, by the way, great story for Air Force. I know this is SEC and we're talking about LSU right now, but I believe Air Force undefeated right now as we're talking. So that is that's a great story in college football right now that you need to keep an eye on there. The Air Force Falcons 6-0 on the year, ranked number 22 in the country. So always good to see one of the service academies doing well. And LSU will be playing a service academy in Army, so it kind of all ties in here. They'll be playing Army this week actually. So LSU gets to play Army this week. Now, that 57.5%, like I said, it is second to Air Force, and it's just ahead of Georgia at 57.14%. So LSU and Georgia both right now unbelievably hard to get off the field in terms of opposing defenses trying to get the ball back for their offense. That there has not been a offense finish at 57% or higher on third downs since the 2020 Alabama team. Now, mind you, that was the COVID team, so less games that they played. It was an all SEC 10-game schedule, and then they played in the playoff there. So that a little bit skewed with the stats there. So going back, it would probably be even further back than that. I can go back and look and see here on the third down conversions before then. Ohio State in 2019 was only 55%. Army, the team that LSU is going to be playing this week, in 2018 was the last team for a full season, not COVID shortened season, that had a conversion rate of 57% or higher. So you can see LSU is not just big plays. It's not just all or nothing. They're able to convert. They're able to extend drives. That has a lot to do with Jayden Daniels' legs. I think that also has a lot to do with Logan Diggs and being able to establish a running game outside of the quarterback position that can give you some manageable third downs and things like that, and not have to make Jayden Daniels play hero ball all the time. So I think that is a big aspect of that as well. When you look at overall passing yards, now this includes when the backup quarterback is in and things like that, that just as team passing yards, LSU is fourth in the country in passing yards. Now, mind you, Georgia is third in the country in overall passing yards when you count their entire team. So an offense on the West in LSU and an offense on the East in Georgia that could be, guys, they could still be on a collision course for Atlanta later this year. And man, you talk about explosive offenses in that game. That would be fun to watch. But fourth in the country in passing yards this year for LSU, fourth in the country in passer rating, and third in passing touchdowns. Now, all of this, of course, has a lot to do with Jayden Daniels. And the big question is, can Jayden Daniels still win the Heisman Trophy? I think right now, when you look at the Heisman Trophy picture, that with what Michael Penix did for Washington against Oregon this weekend, I think he's in the driver's seat since Caleb Williams and USC fell to Notre Dame, and Williams had multiple picks in that game. Didn't look great. I think that he's taken a step back. And I think Michael Penix Jr. is in the lead. You got to look at right now the Heisman Trophy odds according to FanDuel. Michael Penix is the betting favorite at -140. You got Dylan Gabriel, who won the Red River Shootout, is what I'm going to call it, not the Red River Rivalry, Red River Shootout against Texas. He's at +900. J.J. McCarthy for Michigan +1,200. And then Jayden Daniels also +1,200. So here's my view on it, guys. If Michael Penix Jr. can run the table and stay undefeated, then he's probably going to win it at Washington. If he slips up, then we'll see how Dillon Gabriel finishes out the year at Oklahoma. But I think if Michael Penix Jr. slips up and Jayden Daniels and LSU play and finish the season the way that I believe they're going to play and have a chance to finish this year, then it's right there. It's right there for Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels will have an opportunity to win the Heisman on November 4th, in my opinion, when he goes on the road to Tuscaloosa. If he goes on the road to Tuscaloosa and plays in a similar fashion or even better than Quinn Ewers did when Texas went into Tuscaloosa and played, then Jayden Daniels has a chance to really put himself in that conversation firmly, definitely solidify himself a spot in New York, and then we'll just see what happens with some of those guys around. I don't think you can award it to J.J. McCarthy right now with the schedule that Michigan has played. I just don't think you'll know anything about Michigan until they play Penn State and until they play Ohio State, and we'll see. So I think Jayden Daniels, I think this LSU offense is historically explosive, historically efficient. And man, if they had just played a little better defensively early in the year, it's amazing to think what could have been for this LSU team. And it's still amazing to see what's out there. They could legitimately be the first 2-loss team to make the college football playoff. That's how good I believe they're playing right now. If they were to run the table, if they were to beat Georgia in the SEC championship, which I still think Georgia is going to get there. Now, two teams that are still aspiring to make that SEC championship game themselves are Alabama and Tennessee. Of course, the third Saturday in October is this weekend, and that means that Tennessee will be traveling to Alabama. I think that Alabama at home is going to be able to stymie that Tennessee offense a little bit. And one reason I believe that is you just go look at the record on the road for Josh Heupel with better offenses than he has had right now, mind you. When he had Hendon Hooker for the last 2 years, they were against ranked opponents 2-7 on the road. 2-7 on the road were Josh Heupel, and there were some really bad rushing performances in there. You look at this year against Florida, 100 yards rushing on the day for the team, including sacks, of course. And then against Georgia last year, they had 94 yards rushing. The South Carolina game last year was a little bit of an anomaly. They got up to 150 yards, so they got close to 5 yards a carry, but the defense just totally fell apart in that game. So that's a little bit of a statistical anomaly there in terms of the record of things, but not a tremendous road record against ranked teams. Now they have to go on the road to Tuscaloosa. And Josh Heupel said yesterday in his press conference, they said, what is the key to slowing down Alabama's pass rush, Alabama's defensive line? And he said, much like Texas A&M, you have to be able to run the football with efficiency. Well, they certainly did that at home against a good Texas A&M front. Now, I have thrown the caveat out there that Edgerrin Cooper was injured halfway through that game, and towards the end of that game, Walter Nolan was injured, so they didn't 100% of the time go up against the full front of Texas A&M, but still Texas A&M has a ton of talent, and they were able to move the ball on the ground. Now, we all know the struggles of Joe Milton right now. Josh Heupel, is still talking. Here we are, week going into week 8, and he's still talking about fundamentals that caused Joe Milton to miss some of the passes. I mean, if you're a guy as old as Joe Milton is, has played as much ball as he has, and your head coach is still talking about fundamental things that are making you miss some of the throws that you have, then I don't know that you're going to fix those. I have no confidence that those are going to be fixed. Then the receivers, when he does throw a good ball, seem to drop it a little bit. So I do not think that Tennessee is going to be able to produce enough offensively. Now, where Tennessee could really help itself is just creating a ton of havoc on defense. And I do not know that if Alabama just lines up Kadyn Proctor out there at left tackle against James Pierce, it's going to be a long night for Kadyn Proctor. James Pierce is extremely quick, and he pressures the quarterback tremendously. Okay, whether he gets home every time or not, it doesn't matter. You're affecting the quarterback. Now, Tennessee has to remain disciplined in how they rush Jalen Milroe. You can't afford to, get past him in your pass rush, create vertical and horizontal seams in the pocket, and allow him to get out when you have been undisciplined in your rush lanes and been able to hurt you with his legs. But I think that Tennessee has an opportunity to force a couple of turnovers in these games, and also to prevent Alabama from consistently converting on third down. That is a big deal in this. And this Tennessee defense is what I believe is Tennessee's strongest shot to go in and pull the upset on the road. They're going to have to play very well on the back end, but they're going to have to pressure Jalen Milroe. And, you got to be careful with that, because when you bring pressure, you're leaving something. It's a gamble. You're leaving something in one area to add to another. Okay. That's just how it goes. And you got to play more man coverage when you do that, or you got to do some simulated pressures and drop people out underneath to try to elevate some of those throws. What do I mean by elevate throws or lift throws? Well, if you take a edge guy, make them look like they're coming, put everybody, 6, 7, 8 guys towards the line of scrimmage in the box, and then drop out 2, 3, 4 of them underneath with a high, 2 safety shell over top of it. Then that quarterback has to decipher, okay, where are those droppers going, and what is the trajectory I have to throw that ball to get it into that intermediate level. And sometimes, guys, they're not able to lift the throw properly. It gets tipped or gets batted down or gets intercepted by that second level of the defense. Or sometimes when you try to lift the throw too much, it sails on you, and those deep safeties are able to come up and either knock out your receiver, dislodge them from the ball, or even pick the ball off if you sail it too high. So I think you'll see a lot of simulated pressures out of Tennessee trying to lift those throws from Jalen Milroe. I think you'll see them bring some man pressures at times as well. And I think James Pierce, even Tyler Barron, they could even line up Aaron Beasley, I think, on the edge and try to take advantage of Kadyn Proctor at left tackle. Nick Saban talked about how, why not move – somebody asked in his press conference, why not move J.C. Latham over to left tackle since he's the better tackle? He goes, well, then you're not as good at right tackle. So then you're having to, mix multiple spots. So I would expect Alabama to use, Dupree, the tight end, Black, the tight end, running backs to chip over on that left side, maybe do some max protection type stuff. And they've really become a shot offense. So the thing for Tennessee is, can you prevent Alabama from hitting the big plays? I think Tennessee will do a fair job at that. I don't think they'll give up a ton of explosives in this game, and I also think they'll create some havoc. So while I think Alabama will definitely hold down Tennessee's offense, I also think Tennessee has a fair shot at holding down Alabama's offense. So I think a couple of stats that will determine this game. Third and fourth down success rate. Okay, how often are Alabama and Tennessee able to convert offensively on third and fourth downs? Because we know the analytics and everything like that, it's become a game where teams go for it more on fourth down. And then also penalties, guys. Tennessee is second to last right now in the conference in penalties. Let me look at the penalty numbers right here. Got them listed. So Tennessee right now in penalty yards, they're worst in the league right now, but in the number of straight penalties in just 6 games, guys, they have 48 penalties on the year. Now, Kentucky is worse with 54 penalties, but that's in 7 games. Tennessee's averaging 8 penalties per game, 69.2 yards of penalties per game, and that is worse in the SEC. Number 14, Alabama. Right now, guys, they also 48 penalties this year, but that's in 7 games, 6.9 penalties per game. And they're right in the middle of the pack in terms of penalty yards per game. So discipline, who is going to be more disciplined? Who is going to be able to not shoot themselves in the foot and not be able to gift teams another possession, another opportunity to score, another opportunity to get some points, get some momentum. So those are some of the keys inside of the game, and we'll go into player matchups later on. Even though we touched on Pierce and any of the Tennessee edge rushers or guys that they want to bring pressure with on Kadyn Proctor. That's obviously a big matchup there. And then the news yesterday of Brock Bowers getting the tightrope surgery on his ankle. I just think one thing that we need to say is it is unbelievable getting to watch Brock Bowers play the game of football. So I think everybody, unless you are just a complete sick freak, is saddened to see, hey, this is a great player that is going to miss some time, and it's not going to be good. Now there are some people out there who are, I guess, elated that Georgia's not going to be at full strength, and especially with the stretch that they have coming up. And the average recovery time for this is 4 to 6 weeks. Well, he had the surgery yesterday, so a full week off on the bye week. That's 1 week. Florida week, that would be 2 weeks. Missouri, that would be 3 weeks. And Ole Miss, 4 weeks. So week 5 of his recovery would be at Tennessee. If there's one player that I expect to come back faster than anybody else, it's probably Brock Bowers. I really think that he's just a genetically gifted, absolute workhorse, freak of an athlete and a competitor. And I think he'll come back pretty fast. I think he'll come back full strength. So we'll see exactly what day he's going to come back. But the reason he went and had that done is because he wants to return and play for Georgia. This is a guy that could have, said, hey, I'm just going to go sit over here, watch my team play the rest of the way, and then I'm going to just start, counting my money as I get ready for the NFL over here, because he's going to be a top 10 pick. I mean, he's an incredible athlete, incredible tight end, maybe one of the greatest tight ends in college football history. I mean, seriously, he's at that level of what he's been able to do at the University of Georgia. So now the question comes, okay, how does this change Georgia a little bit? Well, I think you'll see them still have some 12 personnel. Lawson Lucky will be in there, and maybe Pierce Spurlin as well, 2 freshmen that were big time recruits. Absolutely, 4-star guys that everybody in the country wanted. So we'll see how they step up in the 12 personnel aspect of things. But I think you'll see Georgia in a lot more 11 personnel. I think you'll see more targets for Dominic Lovett. I think you'll see Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint come down, who is a big receiver, a good blocker, and I think he'll be utilized in some of the chipping and perimeter blocking and things like that Brock Bowers has been utilized to do some of that for Georgia, because I think that's the most underrated part of Bowers' game that people don't realize is how good he is as a blocker on the perimeter. So I think Georgia will have to come up with some ways more so for that than his pass catching ability. Yes, he's really good in space, but Georgia has guys who can catch the football. Georgia has guys who can convert on third down. I think Ladd McConkey, Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint are going to be big time targets on third down. I think early downs you're going to see Dominic Lovett, Ra Thomas become guys that Georgia goes to a lot, and of course Oscar Delp. I'll tell you this, I've covered Oscar Delp when I was back with Rivals. I've covered Oscar Delp since he was in 11th grade, and I've seen this young man not only in the receiving aspect of his game, but also in the blocking aspect of his game just improve and continue to get better and better and better. And now he's gotten bigger, added more muscle, and in the phase of getting the ball in his hands in terms of route running, catching the ball, things like that, not a whole lot different from what Bowers does, the thing that separates Bowers from everybody else is the strength and the ability and the explosiveness he has once the ball is in his hands. So I think Oscar Delp will be a reliable target that they can hit over the middle of the field and also in the red zone that will, still make teams honor that tight end position. I think Lawson Lucky will be able to do that as well. But the area that they're going to miss him the most is the perimeter blocking. So we'll see how Georgia adjusts with that. I think guys to keep an eye on, like I said, Dominic Lovett's production is going to go up. Ladd McConkey's getting healthy. Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint is a guy also to watch as well. And then Ra Thomas, I think throughout this bye week, I think you're going to see Georgia get a lot of reps with those guys, get even more continuity there, some more a better rapport between Carson Beck and some of those targets now with Bowers going to be missing some extended time. And we'll see how it goes. But, guys, this isn't unfamiliar territory for Georgia. If you'll remember, they lost Nolan Smith at edge rusher last year. And in comparison, in terms of what Georgia has to kind of fill the void offensively this year versus what Georgia had defensively to fill the void and the leadership aspect of Nolan Smith last year, I think Nolan Smith was a bigger loss for this team. Brock Bowers has a chance to come back. Nolan Smith was out. He was done. He wasn't going to come back after that Florida game. And also, he was just a unbelievable leader and provided a lot of emotion and things like that. And I think Brock Bowers is more of a quiet guy, more of a guy that gets people hyped up by how he plays and stuff like that. I'm telling you, I think Nolan Smith was a bigger loss for last year's Georgia team defensively than Brock Bowers for a few weeks is offensively for this Georgia team. So I would be mindful of that. And I would also remember that you're talking about Kirby Smart here, a team, a guy that, throughout their meetings or whatever was said, had players thinking they were going to go, people were saying they were going to go 7-5 last year, which nobody said that. So I guarantee you hey, nobody believes in you without Brock Bowers mantra is going to be in full force going there in Athens. And he's got plenty of psychological, motivational ammunition over the next couple of weeks. So it's going to be exciting to see that, guys, as Georgia goes for their three-peat. We've talked about LSU's offense. We've talked about the Alabama and Tennessee game. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you like the content, please hit that like button. It really helps out our analytics and the algorithm and all that kind of stuff. So subscribe. It's absolutely free. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. Also, guys, there is a membership button there. You can join here on YouTube, and it really just helps us provide more content, more videos for you guys. So we would appreciate if you would consider doing that as well. And if you want to partner with Southeastern 14 even more, you want to advertise here, you think people with your business would appeal to this audience of SEC loving folks, then hit up Caroline.Smith at Southeastern 14. And you can also get 15% off on Chomps, a healthy protein snack, beef, venison, turkey, in the description below. There's a link there for you. 15% off. They're great. Kids love them. My favorite is the beef jalapeno. So, guys, check that out as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow morning to talk more SEC sports and SEC football, specifically for me, right here on Southeastern 14.